Hey friends, this is The Social Tea, and I'm Sharonda Lee. I talk about all things social, including celebrity news, reality shows, what's going on in pop culture, local news, and more here in these YouTube streets. We know folks always get in their feelings about what's said here on social media, so I must say what's stated here is alleged, my opinion, and for entertainment purposes only. Friends, make sure you visit my website at www.thesocialteatalkmedia.com and also follow me on all platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, also known as X, and TikTok. Also, check out my podcast, The Social Tea Off the Air, on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, or Spotify. Now, before we get into it, make sure you hit that notification bell, like, share this with everyone you know, and subscribe. With all that being said, relax, get comfortable, and let's get into the tea. Okay, we're at Real Housewives of Potomac. We start this show off with Candiace, Wendy, and Wendy's friend Kayarna, if that's how you pronounce her name. She's the owner of a spa. Candiace goes in to get her woo-ha waxed, and they have conversation. They talk about Wendy's show, how she's unable to get guests because the guests that she do know, they live in LA. She's unable to fly them out. The people that she know in DC, they already signed to news networks and they already signed a non-compete. So she's looking for people that she can bring on her show that's not signed for anything else. Then they go into talking about how Kayarna liked the trip. She pretty much felt like she got along with the ladies, but she could feel the tension between Candiace and Robyn. They also talk about how Robyn word choices and some of the things she was talking about on the trip, basically, as far as Candiace is concerned, the things that Candiace is saying is defamatory. So she was using words like defamation, and we all know that Robyn doesn't talk like that. So of course, she's been talking most likely to Gizelle. I know Robyn and Gizelle are friends, but I feel like Gizelle is the biggest op. At any point, if Gizelle has to dime out Robyn, she's going to. You heard it here first. We get to Gizelle. She's sending her oldest off. I believe her name is Grace. Is it Grace? She's sending her oldest off to college. I believe she's going to college in Florida. I know what that feels like. I sent mine off to school. So this is the most human I've ever seen Gizelle without her being catty, without her going behind people's back. When she's in her mom mode with her daughters, this is I like this Gizelle. Everything outside of this I don't like. I don't really do Gizelle. So now we're at Robyn's new house. Charrisse and Ashley meet her, I guess, for a little get together. And now we can see who really making the money. Robyn got the show. Robyn got her hats. I think Robyn has her podcast with Gizelle, and then she's doing something else. So I give it to Robyn. She is doing her thing. But we must say that Robyn is now making more money than Juan. I hope she has a prenup. I hope she has a prenup, especially with allegations out there of him cheating. I would have all my finance. So the women talk about their trip. Um, they bring up the fact that Karen is getting trained by ex NFL player Vernon Davis. And then Charrisse goes, "Oh, I know why she's getting trained by him." I mean, yeah, Karen's husband is older. I think he's like 20 years older than her, 15 years older than her. She probably wants some eye candy to look at. I mean, it's obvious. Then Charrisse goes into saying that she's going to have a crab boil. We all know the last one she gave did not go so well. I don't know what's up with Charrisse, but she don't know how to season crabs. I live here in Baltimore, and honey, if you don't bring the seasoning in the Old Bay with the crabs, we gonna talk about you. Anyway, she talks about how she's going to invite Jacqueline. We all remember Jacqueline, which is Mia's friend, um, for about 20, 30 years. We get to NECA. She talks about basically her and her husband are trying to have a baby. Is it me? I I can't do her. I don't know what it is. Maybe she came in wrong when it came to Dr. Wendy because I like Dr. Wendy and I think she's very respectable. And Wendy doesn't bother anybody unless they bother her. I can't do her. Maybe I don't. I don't can't do her. She's exhausting. Anyway, she talks about her and her husband, how they're trying to have a baby. Ugh. Get to Karen and Gizelle. And can I add that these two have come a long way? Again, I don't like Gizelle. I just don't. I think she is a hellspawn. I just don't like her. I think she's mean because she's unhappy with herself. I think her and Robyn sit down and have conversation and talk crap about everybody on the show, whether they're cool with them or not. And I think Robyn doesn't have a backbone and she just goes along with whatever Gizelle does. I'm sorry, I just think that. Anywho, Karen and Gizelle have come a long way. I like Karen. She's like the cool aunt that, you go visit in the summertime. I like her. Anyway, they sit down, they have a conversation. Gizelle basically tells Karen that uh she is going to Charrisse's house for a crab boil. Gizelle wants to invite Karen as her plus one, even though I do believe Charrisse already invited her. Again, Charrisse and Karen do not get along. I don't even remember why they don't get along. I guess they were kind of vie for who was the grand dame of Potomac. I don't understand why they don't get along. I'm thinking maybe Charrisse knows some of Karen dirt, so she steers clear. But in the end, Karen tells her she is not going over Charisse's house. So we get to Charisse's crab boil. Robyn is the first to show up. Her and Charrisse have a conversation, um, basically Charrisse stating that she knows that Karen's not coming. And basically, she basically calls Karen out and says that her husband's not allergic to crabs. I just know you just don't want to come to my house. So we get to Charisse's crab boil. Robyn is the first to show up. Her and Charrisse have a conversation, um, basically Charrisse stating that she knows that Karen's not coming. And basically, she basically calls Karen out and says that her husband's not allergic to crabs. I just know you just don't want to come to my house. So then Candiace shows up. And of course, the tension between Candiace and Robyn is thick. They're not talking. I'm not understanding why Robyn doesn't understand Candiace's point of view because it did look shady. I'll say again, it's like I said in the review for the recap last week. The reason why Candiace feels some type of way is because you were my friend, and basically your friend Gizelle basically lied on my husband. And when it came to the reunion, you kind of was on her side. At first, you were like, oh, I don't think Chris did anything, blah, 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 blah. But when we got to the reunion, it's obvious that you switched sides. Not only did you switch sides, but you had a little scandal of your own. Your husband was caught cheating and doing whatever he was doing, but you didn't say anything about it at all to anybody on the show. And then not only did you do that, but you went on your podcast and on Patreon and tried to basically sell the story. All along, y'all were setting my husband up like he was a villain, and your husband was out here cheating. Why didn't you share that story? So everybody makes it to the crab boil instead us except for Wendy. She's in LA. And Karen. Of course, Karen's not gonna come because she does not like Charrisse. So they're all sitting around the table, and of course, the messiest bitch of them all has to ask, "Hey, yeah, Mia, are you and Jacqueline cool? Because last time I talked to you, you said y'all were cool, but then Mia says you're not. What's going on?" So instead of, I guess, having a conversation in front of the women, they decide to, go in a private space and talk. That was the best thing they can do. Because Gizelle is a messy bitch and she's miserable and she wants to stay in somebody else's business. Ugh. So Mia and Jacqueline basically have a sit down again, like I said. They separate themselves from the women. They decide to have a conversation about their relationship and where they are. And they pretty much talk about, well, Jacqueline talks about how she feels like Mia went too far last year. And basically, the women talk out how they feel like Mia is holding anger against Jacqueline because of what happened to Mia when they were younger, when they were in their teens, I believe, or young adults. Um, I if I remember correctly, Mia was RP'd, and she thought that Jacqueline had something to do with it. Come to find out, Jacqueline didn't even find out till way later that it even happened to her. The two women, I guess, for now, hash out their differences. They're not back like aces again, but they're at least trying to get back to a good space with each other. So we get back to the table with all the women, and Charrisse states that she noticed that Candiace and Robyn were distant, really wasn't talking to each other, and she had hoped that the trip to DR would have bridged the gap or bridged them back together. Candiace pretty much says that Robyn leaked or gave a blogger their conversation, their text conversation, um, trying to make Candiace look crazy. And I will have to say, all of those women, not all of them, but Robyn, Gizelle, and Ashley were literally sitting at that table like they were in like so much happiness that Candiace felt the way about that being leaked. And this is what I mean by evil bitches. Those are some evil bitches. And I wholeheartedly believe that Gizelle is the main evil bitch. And the other two are the followers. I just believe that. But I stand with Candiace. If me and you are no longer friends, and I could have said anything in those texts. I could have gave personal information about me and my husband, because remember, me and you were really good friends. I could have shared personal information. I could have told you about experiences I had that I didn't want anybody else to know, and you gave my information to a blog, which means to me that you're a dirty bitch and you're vindictive and you're upset because I believe that Robyn's upset because Candiace is holding her feet to the fire about the situation with Juan. No, did Robyn have to tell us about Juan and the situation with the girl in the hotel? No, she did. But she knew about it and blatantly turned on her friend, and basically went with Gizelle with the whole, oh, Chris made me feel uncomfortable. Chris, he damn near SA'd me. Basically, that's what Gizelle was saying, and Chris did nothing to her. And I don't care what anybody says about these group of women. The line is always moved when it comes to Gizelle and Robyn. Anybody else can do something and it's Armageddon. But as soon as Robyn and Gizelle And maybe sometimes even Ashley does something. The line is always drawn. There's a lot of excuses. Oh, I'm a victim. But when it's Candiace or somebody else, we got to hold their feet to the fire. So Candiace and Robyn starts going back and forth, and here we go. Charrisse starts beating on the table, telling everybody to stop it, beating the table like a mad woman. Is she there for theatrics? Because that was a little bit too much, way too much. But anyway, Candiace decides to get up and leave. I guess before anything else happens, she does apologize to Charrisse and her children. She has home training. So it looks as if it's going to start getting juicy next week because somebody gets into a fight at Gizelle and Ashley. It looks like their fashion show for the launch of their activewear. I don't, their friend, Ashley friend Deborah. I don't know. Stay tuned.